Hello, friends. It is Heather Biederman, the Liberty Librarian, also known as the Queen in the North. It is Halloween this week, one of my favorite, and I'm wearing my Queen of the North garb, and I'm, wearing a crown, and I feel fabulous. Oh, and I also, in case you want to try to fight me on it, I have a sword. It's actually a LARP sword, so if I do this, I won't cut my fingers off, because if you did that in real life, it would hurt. But I have a sword. Oh, the cats think it's awesome, but they also want to play with it. So I'm going to put it down. You guys can sniff that. So, I'm all girly. Oh my gosh. And fake fur, because I'm a kind Queen in the North. And that's how I roll. So, happy Halloween in like a couple days, right? This Saturday is Halloween. So I wanted to do something special for you guys, and I got dressed up pretty. I mean, I was even at work, so I ran home and I got gussied up for you. So I hope you are doing well. What are you all doing for Halloween this year? It's kind of one of those bummer years, right? So mostly what we usually do is we'll go to parties. We'd have some trick-or-treaters, not a lot, because our neighborhood is kind of older people. But, and then like after we turned in, we would, it depends on when it would be. If it's in the week, during the week, it would be like kind of more chill. On the weekend, like it is, we would party hardy, and it's a full moon on Saturday. So of course the craziest things, we're going to have werewolves and stuff. So it's going to be off the hook. So I know this would be like one of the best Halloweens ever, but it's the pandemic, so way less fun. I've had people tell me they think there's going to be trick-or-treaters. I really doubt it. We hardly had any last year before the pandemic, and this year I expect to have even less. But we will have some chocolate, and you know what? If we eat it, we eat it. Hi, how you doing? Happy Halloween early. So, I mean, I'm really excited about it. I think we're going to have a fun time. Like my husband Andy and I like to do is watch scary movies, and we are connoisseur of really weird ass scary movies. So, like, I was talking the other day to some friends, and like some of my favorites, we love Evil Dead in our house. So we have like Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2, we have Army of Darkness, and it's on constant rotation. We watch it every so often, and we love Bruce Campbell, so that's groovy. So like I also like fantasy, so I Game of Thrones isn't something I would watch normally, but I would totally dress up. I have another costume that is an actual Queen of the North from Game of Thrones, but that one is really uncomfortable to wear. I had hand painted it and done. It was like her inauguration gown, so she had like the red, the weird leaves and the like all of the tree leaves painted on. Oh man, so it's kind of like crunchy, and time isn't very kind to it. So it's still there. I thought about wearing that crown, but I think this one sparkles a little bit more. Hers is more austere for the North, and I think you have to have a little bit of bling so the commoners get a little eye candy too. So I'm wearing my fake fur and my beautiful blue velvet, so I'm loving it. I could wear this every day and be comfortable, so I might wear this to work someday. I also have a friend that's named Heather, and she lives down in Georgia, and she is Heather of the South. So we're both the good witches. So that is why I'm Heather of the North right today. So Halloween is a special time, and it makes me think of spooky things. I think last year we talked a little bit about vampires, which is one of my favorite things to talk about, different kinds of vampires. And I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about this year. And this year I am excited to talk about ghost stories, paranormal, and there's a lot out there. It's just amazing what you can find about like if you want to be a ghost hunter, if you want to see examples of real life ghosts, it is, you're dressed up fancy. I know I am dressed up fancy. I dressed up fancy for Halloween. You got to be a queen sometimes. So I often go and troll through YouTube because I have so much fun doing that. And one of my favorite things to do is watch the haunted things, like the haunted dolls. That's a rabbit hole that you go down. It keeps you up at night. And and we started talking a little tiny bit on the Sweet Subversive show yesterday about dolls because my friend Kara was in it's kind of a Chucky knockoff indie movie that she did in the 90s. That was what is it? Beasley Baby 3, something like that. I keep wanting to call him Beardly. Let me look real quick so I don't say it wrong. Baby Beasley 3. So it was a horror movie that they shot in Austin, Minnesota, and it kind of brings up that fear of terrifying dolls. And one of the things it reminded me of is my grandma's house was really, really haunted. And my cousins sometimes watch this. And, when we go visit my grandma Lila, she had this beautiful, huge Victorian house, she and my grandpa, and it was haunted as crazy pants. And it was like a huge Victorian house. It had multiple stories and had this huge attic that we never really went into. And she collected dolls. My grandma did. So the most haunted room in that house was the attic and the doll room. The doll room had stairs that would go up to the attic, and they had a big heavy door that was shut. And often you hear things moving around in there. And up in the attic, it was kind of like I can't remember what it's called, but it was like a little bitty piano that was kind of like a harpsichord, and it had no strings in it. And often at night you would hear it playing, and there's no strings in it. So we would tell my mom, I'm like, that's crazy, it's scary. And she's like, if you leave a penny out on the nightstand, the penny will disappear and you'll hear the music play at night. So you do that every so often, and the penny went away. I don't know if it's my mom sneaking into the room and stealing the pennies, but if you did the pennies would be gone in the morning. And all my cousins and we would always run past that room. In the doorway, there was my grandparents collected really cool, weird stuff. They had some dolls that would be staring out at you. My grandpa had these African masks from when he traveled, and there was old-timey baby pictures, and like these are like great relatives, like from your babies, and they would stare at you. So all of us would just run past that room, and it was always cold in there. Like how they always say, like the ghosts, it gets really cold. And I would just truck it right past there. But now that I'm older, I kind of wish I had looked around in there a little bit more. Some days I would play a little bit, but all of my cousins and my brothers were not into it. And I don't even remember if my youngest brother was old enough to remember it. I'll have to ask him, because it seems like after my grandpa died, my grandma moved into a different house because it was too big of a house for her. And my mom told me a story about that house, that part of why it was so haunted was they're working on the roof, and it had this kind of a porch, and they're working up in the attic, and the ceiling was really steep, and one of the guys that was working up there fell through and he died. And he would mess with people. And my mom is a twin, and she and her sister were babies, and they had my grandma had a housekeeper for a little while, and the housekeeper was the one that this ghost loved to mess with. She would go outside on top of this porch and hang up the laundry that was drying, and often it would slam the door and lock her out. And it never happened to anybody else. It actually never happened to me when I did it. It was a small town Minnesota thing, but I'd go run around, look at that house. And after my mom told me it was scary and haunted, it actually was much more exciting to me. I wanted to see ghosts. So, eventually it was sold, but I still wonder to this day if the people who live there ever have any experiences. I've had like some ghost things happen in my life. Not, when it's happening, it's not really obvious right away. I mean, it's not like in the movies where you see it's like a figure that's like right in front of you and it looks like a total person. It's always kind of like you just kind of see it and you're like, wait, what was that? For me, one of the things that I remember the most was as a teenage girl, I woke up in the middle of the night, and we've always had cats around, right? So when I was growing up, we had this gray cat, and she would like sit on my bed, and she'd like to sit on top of the pillow and knock my head off the pillow and take the whole pillow, kind of like a cat, being a bitch. But one morning, it was like really early, like 3 or 4 in the morning. I like woke up and I saw a cat on the end of the edge of the bed, kind of near where your hands are. And I was gonna reach up and pet the cat, and my hand went right through. And I was like, "Well, cat, where'd it go?" And I knew what I saw. I knew I saw a white cat, and I'm like, I don't have a white cat. I have a gray cat. And it was there and it was gone. It was like it was laying on the bed looking at me. And, I talked to my mom about it the next day, and it's itchy. Where the head that wears a crown. My mom was like, yeah, you know who I think that was? Like, there was a cat that lived in our neighborhood that was named Snowball, white, big, fluffy cat, was in love with our girl cat. We would, she was fixed, but he would throw himself. They had a little carport, and so the window from our kitchen was way up high. So he'd sit on top of a car and he'd just look at her, and she'd look all proud, like, oh, I have a suitor. And he would throw himself off the car and hold on to the windows, the screen windows with his claws, and oh, I love you, let me in. But eventually that cat, because he ran around outside, I think he died kind of young and never to be seen again. And my mom was like, maybe that was him. Maybe he came back. He's still in love with our cat and wanted to be near her and, just like hanging out. So I don't know. I think you fall into 2 categories with people. Either you believe in ghosts or you don't. And I tend to believe that they do exist. I mean, there's not much you can do. I think most ghosts are cool. They're just like doing their own thing. They're hanging around. I don't know what's going to happen in the afterlife if you hang around here and then you go somewhere else, if you can choose to stay. A lot of times they say it's because of unfinished business. Who knows? But I think that most of the things that I've encountered where I've had feelings about it, you can feel that there's something there. It's like feels like it's watching you. I don't think that most ghosts really want to mess with you. I think they might get annoyed by you because you're in their old house and they really don't understand why you're here. But I think you can live together in peaceful harmony, and that's the ideal situation. One of the articles I read this week was about people doing paranormal investigations in their own house and why it was probably a bad idea. Now, if you're somebody who's like, these are cool and I am just so excited and I want to just like see if there's something there and you can deal with it. Like, think about this. Like, let's say you're just like, I want to see if there's something there, probably nothing. But what if you do see something? what if it's something that disturbs you so much to the core that you can't ever feel safe in your own house again? Is it worth it? Um, it's nice to think that your home is this kind of clean slate, that you're always safe. But let me tell you, even in a house where I don't think it's haunted, I think there are spirits that kind of like walk around, check in on you. So I think that if you did set up a camera and just watched your house, mostly you're gonna catch like things like little animals running around. If you have mice or something, maybe that. Um, you might actually catch something, and how are you gonna deal with it? Um, Really, it's not an easy thing to make anything leave. And honestly, usually when you mess with it at that point, then it gets angry. And I mean, this is sort of like you think about how we are as humans. Somebody messes with you, how do you react? Are you somebody who gets angry really quickly? What if it's just like you? You kind of attract the same sort of energy in the universe. So, um, yeah, a lot of people are like, I'll get an exorcism. Fine. Does it always work? I don't believe it always works. Sometimes people are haunted. Sometimes the house has like a recording of energy of things that have happened there. If somebody died there. One of my coworkers told me a story about her house that there was an older woman who she used to know lived there, and she had passed away. And she one night was checking in on her son who was like tossing and turning. And when she was coming back to go to bed, all the lights were down, and she saw a woman at the end of the hallway in a pink, like a bathrobe and like white hair. And it was a kind of, how it is, the corner of your eye, and then all of a sudden she's gone. And she had, was like, was that so and so who used to live in this house? She looked kind of familiar. And her friends who had used to who lived next door had said, what did you see? And she goes, well, I saw this, I think it was like a ghost, because it was this woman in a pink bathrobe. And she goes, oh my God, the woman who lived there, she always wore this pink bathrobe, and when she died she was wearing it. Like, oh. So she, every once in a while, things would happen in her house, and she'd like talk to the ghost and say her name, like, hey, I don't remember her name, but it's like, hey, Susie, it's, you want to help out? Like, let's not mess this up. She'd always be real cordial. And then one day she heard that this woman's sister was in the hospital and not doing well. And she had said out loud in the house, she goes, your sister Judy is in the hospital. You might want to go there and take her to the light if you can. She's probably needs you right now. And after that, she said the sister had died, and she never had anything happen in her house again. So I think that's kind of cool, like maybe she was hanging around waiting for her sister. And I think that's kind of cool. You just think about like what happens when you die. And I know this is kind of all morbid. It's like when my grandma, Lila, who had the haunted house, was about ready to go. We all talked about how that was, like she'd kind of blink in and out of being like really aware and then not. And she was talking to me, and she goes, they're waiting for me. And like, who's waiting for you? Like, my neighbor. And hi there. I'm just gonna say hello. Welcome. We're doing ghost stories. And so my grandma was like, yeah, my neighbor's here, and they're gonna pick me up. They're waiting for me to be done. And I'm like, okay, well, when we love you, and when you're ready, that's when you gotta go. And she's like, okay. And the next day she died. So I always hope that when it's my time, that there'll be somebody waiting for me, to tell me what's what. Because, it'd be really nice to have some sort of guide, if there is something in the afterlife, like just to know what to expect. because I think just being a ghost all of a sudden and not seeing any other ghosts would be really freaky. But, like no one can see you, that'd be the worst thing. But if other ghosts could see you, hey, I gotta tell you, I am Queen of the North. Randomly. I just need to say it. TLO. Yes. So, do ghosts exist? There are constant tests being done. People are, there's ghost hunters out there. I've watched that show for a while, and I don't have cable anymore, so I, every once in a while I'll just catch an episode on streaming. But thank you. Like, okay, I'll do this again. Look at that, and then LARP sword. Is this cheesy? I feel like I'm on like one of those YouTube videos where I need to start. No, I would just hurt myself. So anyway, Queen of the North, right? Doing ghost stories. Well, so I did join a paranormal group very briefly in, I think it was early 2000s. But I will say I am not good at staying up really late. I've always found this in myself. I love sleep. So I am not had the chance to do a nighttime ghost hunting. Someday I'd like to do that. I really am interested in haunted places and why they're haunted. I don't think there's a lot of reason to look into your own home though. And I think we were talking about this just a minute ago, that you need to be mentally prepared if you do see something. A lot of people think they'll never find anything. Yes, I love the blue. I love my blue dress. It's beautiful. And I have blue eyes, so it looks good together. But I think that if you are not prepared for the horror of that there might be an afterlife, it might not be for you. You need to be a very strong person and tell things to go away and leave you alone and leave them be. If you're not and you have weakness in you, spirits do. Yes, there's tons of haunted places in Minnesota. And I just think it's exciting. I mean, even when I worked at Minnesota State University, Mankato, the Performing Arts building is totally haunted. The library is haunted. I was a manager there for many years, and I had my own key. So I would go open in the morning really early, and I'd walk around and it was dark, and every once in a while you'd see something walking, and it wasn't a person. I would go check, and you would hear things. There's a different sound when it's a person. Things would open and close. You would see it. It's not like Ghostbusters where things are flying off the shelves when there is no such thing as a card catalog anymore. Demons are terrifying. That's one thing. You never know what you're going to find when you're out looking for paranormal. And you need to do a lot of training and reading up on how to interact, and you have to be a really strong person. And I think a lot of the people that do get attracted to it think everything is light and everything is like fuzzy bunny kind of crap. You need to be mentally ready, and you don't let anything invade you. Oh, let's see. Same one Zach has run into his adventures. Remember when he was out in PA? Yep, the old sanitarium. Oh yeah, I have something. I think that's on one of my lists that I was looking at today. Like a paranormal places. Was it PA or is it the Kentucky one? Because there was a Louisville, Kentucky, the Waverly Hills Sanitarium. That was that one. There's another one that I was looking at. Oh, and we went on a ghost tour in New Orleans when we had the Librarian convention a few years ago. That was awesome. And New Orleans, you could feel ghosts. Like if people are saying there are haunted places, New Orleans, the ghost tour is highly recommended. We went basically in the summer, and I think New Orleans is so hot it would kill me. I don't know how people live there. It was PA. Okay, I'm gonna look that one up right now. Haunted. There's so many cool places. So the Penhurst Haunted Asylum, Pennsylvania Haunted House, is that it? Might be. Penhurst State Hospital, State School and Hospital has a painful past as an asylum. Here's an NPR article that looks really interesting on it. Let's see if I have a picture I can share. Oh yeah, that looks cool. Let's see. I'll share that real quick. I know mean ones would freak me out, right? I that's the thing is like you always got to be really careful about I always say go in a group. Don't ever do that type of stuff by yourself. It is a little too creepy. So this is the one that I think he was talking about that he visited, and they have ghost tours there all the time. Let's see. They got a slideshow. Ooh, that one. I don't think this is it though. I think the place was huge. This is just a smaller house. Maybe this is the main house of it, and they have the rest of the asylum. I thought it was bigger. What the hell is this guy doing? Exit. Oh, they do like haunted stuff. So anyway, they say in this that it's a former institution for mentally and physically disabled outside of Philadelphia. Yeah. The sprawling Penhurst State Hospital, School and Hospital shut down in 1987. Well, after chronic overcrowding and patient abuse. I saw things I will never forget. Now, this is what I think happens in general. Why places get so haunted is because you have horrific things that go on there. And I talked about this on another show. Ooh, let's make this big. So this is what it looked like back in the day. So it kind of almost looks like a college campus. Beautiful. This is when the beds look nice before they put people in them and overcrowd. But look how close those beds are together. Would you want to be staying in a place where your like beds are next to each other and they crammed people in to eat? So I think this is, and then they had them work in fields to help provide most of the food for the patients. So, I mean, they had outside time. They played music. So they tried to make it look like everyone is great. They had wood shop. Baseball teams. So there's a school, but then the administration building now is the main building of the asylum haunted house attraction. So I just think it's a neat looking place. It'd be neat to go visit. I don't know if it's haunted or not, but I do know that sometimes you have traumatic sites. They experimented on folks. That's right. Here, I'm going to pull that one up. Yeah, that's it. Because I think if they experiment on people, there's this trauma, and that holds on to the site. Oh, Joe Stack, hello. So you have a great ghost story that happened to you during your childhood, and then when you brought your family home, you want to share in the comments? I think that sounds cool. I love people's personal stories the best because they are definitely way better than like you see the ghost hunter stuff. And there's always that feeling you have where are they just setting it up so, we, to pay off. It's because they had the one Halloween special where they rigged stuff to move and it just, and people found out about it and it just ruins it for you. You're like, what? Oh, you should just share it in the comments later. I think it would be great. It would be something to record yourself though, because I mean, ghost stories are very personal, especially when it's something you've experienced yourself. And we all have something kind of paranormal happen to us in our lives. And that's, if you don't, you're not paying attention. That's the way I figure it. But I'm excited when people have stories like that. That haunted house, oh, both are real. The alien stuff, I've seen things that like ships in the sky. I will say I've never encountered up close. I've never been picked up. Although I will say I have, a really weird scar on a part of my body that I will not share. Kind of like closer to my chest. And it's like 3 marks, and I have no idea where it came from. And I've Googled it, like 3 marks to see like if there's some sort of bug that does bites like that. And I had shingles before, so I'm like, maybe it's shingles. But it's not. It's an actual scar on me that's looks like, yeah, maybe I encountered the Greys. Somebody had said that, and I was just like, when would it happen? I don't, like they say they can wipe your memory. Maybe I've been taken by aliens. I don't know. That's something I don't remember. But I always, there's a part of me. Yes, please record it, Joe, and tag me. I would love to see your ghost story. I think those are the most amazing things ever. And it's just a time of year to tell these stories, don't you think? It's just so great. So yeah, aliens. I don't know. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I'm probably one of the only people that at the end, when he goes with the spaceship, I cry. And it's not like a normal cry. It's like a deep, and it's kind of joy, and like he's never going to see anyone again, his family. And so there's sadness, and it's like this weird like combination of emotions, and I just think it's one of the most beautiful movies ever, and there's nothing like it. And When You Wish Upon the Star, and I am deep sobbing at the end of this freaking movie every time, and I have not met anybody who has that reaction. So maybe there's something to it. Maybe I've been taken by aliens, or maybe I am an alien. I have that blood type. They said like the A negative is like the Nords or whatever. So Queen of the North, I might be a Nordic alien. Probably not. I wish if I did, I think I should have a cool spaceship or something. But yeah, they try to grab you. I believe there are aliens, but they don't tell us. I think we're okay. Here's my not nice thing to say about humans. I think they think we're too stupid to really expose themselves at this point. And like, we're not really proving that wrong this year. 2020 is showing me that like things of like dumpster fire year. This would be this year. Like, okay, NaNoWriMo we talked about like last week. This would be the year to write a horror story about people during the pandemic and all the crazy shit that's going on. And it's like, oh man, like, yeah, if you get like if they, what are you going to do? Like, they were coming to get you. Oh my God. So almost like the movies, and they can just pick you up in the sky, and what can you do? Who knows if it's a light, if it's going to be like you just blank out and then you're there. I mean, there's so many things. I don't know. I mean, I believe in aliens. I believe in ghosts. I believe there are things like vampires in the world. They might not be exactly like we expect them to be in movies and everything, but I think there are things that exist out there that we have not gotten to the point where we can comprehend. And that's cool. I mean, there was a part of me, okay, why I became a librarian in short form. When I was young, I loved libraries. I read a lot of fantasy, and I always expected if I went to enough libraries, you'd find the one library that had the magic books, the real magic books. Like before there was Harry Potter, that there would be something, the untold truths of the universe would be in a library somewhere, and you just have to know like the secret knock, the secret handshake, and the librarian would go, "Come with me. I know where the book is. It has all the answers, and I have yet to find it." But I became a librarian. Oh, so I love that more than anything. I want magic in the world. I want it to be beautiful, and I want I want the truth of it, and sometimes the truth is a scary thing. People all the time, they think they want to know stuff and they're not ready for it, and then they freak out. I'm open. Aliens want to show themselves, I'm open. If ghosts want to show themselves, I'm open. Let's not open to them like here, but yeah, and then the cats all freak out. So it's like, oh God. I mean, like, let us know. I had a deal with my dad. Like, if one of us died, we'd like go and tell the other, so that we know that there is something after we die. That's all. Like, you make a pact with people. If you get a chance to go, psst, it's cool. We're okay. We got somewhere we're going. See you there. We'll save you a seat at the bar. You know, like that would be bonkers and I'm awesome. Oh, I want to see this. So here's the story. We were all heading back to our cabins and we were mucking about, playing with the flashlights. Didn't work. Then they did work and then they didn't. And then they started again. We heard sound. Shone the light. It was like, barn. Looking right at the big black eyes of a gray. Oh my God. That I want to know where this goes. How did you get out of that? You saw the gray. Was it just looking at you? Do you think it parked and was checking you out? Or were they like trying to like capture you guys to take back to study? I mean, that's kind of interesting. So, see you later, Joe. Have a good dinner. Oh man. So I'm waiting. TLO. You have to like don't leave us hanging. Take a sip. I see Andy's home. Oh, and by the way, hi Andy. I'm doing sober October still, and I'm drinking the Hoplark hop tea. So it's a hop tea, and this one is a calming one, the chamomile. So I'm chill, and it tastes kind of more like flowers. I like this one. Last night I had the super hoppy one, and that one tastes way more like beer. So I'm much more happy with that. And making sure the cat doesn't run out the door. I would have been so scared. I know part of me feels like aliens, they're other creatures, but so I don't think most creatures are out to get us, out to hurt us, but they're also different than anything in our world. So who knows? They may have just a whole different way of thinking of things. They may just think of us as food. We might just be delicious. We may taste like, I don't know, like cheeseburgers. And they'll be like, yeah, let's go get some of those humans. Yeah, stop by, you know, get a little nibble. You just take some off the inside and then you drop them off and they're all good. I mean, that's awesome. Okay, so here the rest of the story. So it was parked. We ran to the cabins. We were freaked out for sure. There was a bright light over the hills behind the cabins. No sound. So not illegal loggers. Ooh, I wonder what it was. You know, that's the thing. You know, once you open yourself up to that, I think you start to be on their radar. It depends on if they tag you or not, because then they come back and check on you. And that is the thing I'm a little worried about with the scar I have. Because like, have I been tagged? Maybe I'm special in some way. Maybe there's certain kind of humans that they come back and check on. You know, like, how's this going with this one? You never know. I think that's kind of cool. Oh, man. Somebody went grocery shopping, so I'm like, ooh, goodies. Did you guys see that there's like an Oreo cache up in Norway? So the second, okay, I gotta finish the story. Okay. So I stood guard motionless outside the cabin for 2 hours before the lights disappeared. I was so still, bugs, critters were running around my feet. This is a good story. Okay. So while we wait for TLO to write this, so the Oreo cache is up in Norway, and we're waiting to see if an asteroid is going to hit the Earth on election day of all days. What would that be like? Are the aliens sending it? How is it going to be? You know, I'm Queen of the North.
Oh, yeah?
For Halloween.
Oh.
So yeah, you're probably like, why the hell are you wearing a crown? It's just normal situation here. We're talking about
every other day.
Yeah, I know. We're talking about ghosts and aliens today, so I'm hearing the good ghost stories from people.
Oh, yeah.
And alien stories now, so that's kind of fun. So anyway, back to the show. So I think that if the asteroid hits, then we definitely need to go and raid the Oreo place up in Norway and go get some delicious Oreos. If it's the end of the world, why not go and get some Oreos? It's sort of like in Zombieland where they
have nuclear winter for 6 months.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go sit in there with a bunch of like a milk truck and eat Oreos until I explode. That would be okay. I mean, if the world's gonna end anyway, you might as well eat Oreos. My brother says he's in with it. If as long as they have the birthday cake Oreos there, those are his favorites. So I say we do it. But I used to live out in the country for a while too, and some of the things that was most amazing to me was when you had the darkest night of sky and you could see like all the stars because we live way out there. Every now and then I'd see something and it was low and it would fly over and you'd see the stars kind of warble. It wasn't like they blacked out totally, but it would warble. Like you could see it through, but it was almost like you're looking through something, like it was showing you on the other side. Kind of like if you thought there was a TV showing the opposite side. And we'd see that every so often. And I'm pretty sure those were the alien spaceships. So we'll see. So here, the end of it. That was about it. The next day, one of us had a migraine for 2 days after. We were all shook. Maybe they had a scanning thing with them. They scanned you, and that was with the lights going out. Yes, you can see so much. And that's why I really, after I lived way out there, I started to really see that there are things out there. Now, some people would say they're like government planes. They could be, stealth ships going around, spy craft. It could be that. I don't know. But they're declassifying so many more documents now. That's what's incredible. So if you want to go down a rabbit hole of fun, go into some of the area 57 Reddit groups and the black helicopters, the men in black, all of that. It's amazing. So you can learn more about the declassified government documents that are making it obvious to me that even military people are seeing alien ships constantly. And there's enough video where you see like hundreds of videos of the same thing where they try to explain it, but nobody comes up with a good explanation. There is something out there. So when are we actually going to see it? Yeah, the Navy footage, right? There's so much footage out there that, yeah, some people are going to make up stuff, but there's a lot of truth out there. And if you look for the credible sources, you start to see that there's enough of that you're kind of like, yeah, I think there's aliens. So and then I went down a few weeks ago in that rabbit hole on psychic stuff too. And one of the other, and you can totally learn how to do psychic ability things, but I think some of the stuff that they've uncovered is more from alien technology of crash ships, things that they found, people who've been tampered with, and I think there's a lot to learn in the universe. And once we are able to travel space and time, time too, I actually believe time is a way that we will travel. I think it's going to change us. And maybe the Greys are actually us down the road. And we time travel back. It wouldn't surprise me. But I do think we're not alone in the universe. And I took an astronomy class in college, and it made me so mad because the instructor was like, nope, we're all alone. It's impossible. And I go, you don't know everything. Have you been everywhere? How do you know it's totally impossible? How life could be anything. Light could be a form of light that we haven't figured out yet. It could be anything. You could have so many, a mushroom could be a form of life that covers the entire universe that we have not figured out yet. And it binds us all together. Yes. So, hi, Laura. How you doing? So, yes. The Impossible channel on YouTube. I got to check that out. Thank you. That's the thing. I see so many things and I get a good feel for when things are fake, but every now and then I'm like, I think that's real. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. So that'll keep you up at night. That's why I love YouTube. I have arguments in my house because my husband loves Netflix and I love YouTube. And I just want to watch YouTube videos and go down the rabbit hole. I love learning new things. So, ooh, I want to hear Laura's story. Oh, man. My mother-in-law told me a story that her teacher told her man could never go to the moon because it's too far away. You know, there is a thing that someone had said once that once you believe you can do something, it happens right away. Or you see, like there's an unobtainable problem and people can't get it to happen. And then one person's just like, I'm just going to do it. And then it happens. And once that person does it, tons of people do it. So the possible and the impossible is this wall that you think that you can't get around. But once you figure out that these like little barriers can keep moving back, I think there is very few things in the universe that are impossible anymore. You just need to figure out that workaround and believe in it. You got to be a crazy person sometimes and you can do it. You can do anything. But helps to have some science and technology though to back you up, because then you don't die. Because then they're the true believers, and then there's the hopeless romantics, and some of the hopeless romantics are the ones that die from like going, I can climb Everest, I don't need to prepare a train, and then they die. So be smart and explore, but at the same time follow your heart, follow your dreams. And I want to know more about ghost stories, and I want to know about like how BuzzFeed Unsolved is a fun series. Yes, I just started looking at some of those. Yes, there are so many good series. Like I shared about the one dude that tells scary stories like every day, and I had to stop because he had some of these demon stories were just too scary for me. But I just love that. So go down that rabbit hole, look up ghost stories on YouTube, and he's one of the first ones that pop up, and I love that one. So we're gonna take a break from ghost stories. I have a few things of intellectual freedom news I wanted to cover. Did you guys see the Girl Scouts? Yeah, aliens and stuff. Now we'll get into the other weird actual human stuff. So the Girl Scouts got in big trouble because President Trump picked out a new justice and to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And how did this go down? So it was like Wednesday was yesterday, right? So on late Wednesday, the Girl Scouts deleted a tweet that said they congratulated Justice Amy Coney Barrett for being the fifth woman named to the Supreme Court after the social media backlash, primarily on the left, with the decision to delete the post, also sparking outrage. So the thing that bothered me about that is the censorship of it. They said it was because it's political. However, people are also complaining that they have a Hillary Clinton one up somewhere on their Twitter feed that is also political, and they don't take that down. So the feeling is that they're too liberal, and they aren't. The actual thing was the post wasn't political in any way. It was just like, look at all these women who are on the Supreme Court. We have 5 women who are in the Supreme Court. Fabulous. And little girls, you can do anything. Even if you're conservative, even if you're liberal, who cares? You're a little girl. You need to have inspiration. So that is the controversy of the week. I'm not going to go too much into it, but people were going to say they're not going to eat Girl Scout cookies, which I'm like, that's extreme. I love Girl Scout cookies. I'm like, wait, back up. They made a mistake. They shouldn't have taken it down. They should have not been pissy about it, because it's a legitimate news thing. And really, I know that the Supreme Court justices are picked by presidents, political presidents, but they are also a separate part of the system. So they're really not a political party. They are justices, and they're supposed to be upholding laws and looking at laws and trying to, protect our way of life. So let's, not censor ourselves when it's actually just like, hey, this is cool. She's a woman. And if that was all it was about, that's all it was about. This cancel culture BS where constantly, anytime people don't like it, that big companies and nonprofits back down, it's too much. Let the Girl Scouts be Girl Scouts. Congratulate people, even if you don't like their political ideology, especially if they are doing something great. And it's woman number 5, the cancel culture crap, it burns me down. And, can't we just celebrate that there's a woman there? Yay, little girls. And that's all that it should have been about. It's like, hey, little girls, look, girls are doing things. They grow up and be women that are smart and get into like high positions that can change our lives. And even if you don't like some of their political ideology, just don't make it about that. It wasn't supposed to be political. It was just like pointing it out. It's just like if we ever get a female president, who doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green Party, doesn't matter. If you're excited that they're a woman, that's like all it should be about. I just don't. I think everybody overthinks everything, and we need to let it be. We need to let it be. So that's all I'm gonna say about that one because it just bugged the hell out of me. Here's something. It's just a public service messages. At the left. But to the left, it's not the right kind of woman. Well, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Because, there is a woman running for office this year, and none of the women from 2016 are interested in Jo Jorgensen. She's kind of cool and groovy, but she's not the right kind of woman. And that's exactly it. You hit the nail on the head. Try not to be political here, dude, but I had to today. I mean, like this. Every once in a while, the intellectual freedom news is a little political, right? Here's my public service announcement. Ad blockers installed over 300,000 times are malicious and should be removed now. Now, this is from Ars Technica, a site that I really think has some good news. And if you have the apps to look at the antivirus and malware, it was introduced a few weeks ago. If you downloaded it, and it's called Nano Ad Blocker and Nano Defender Extension, it says that this person had no time to maintain the project. The developer sold the rights to someone else. It was in the Google Chrome store, and Nano Ad Blocker and Nano Defender, which are installed together. 4 days ago, uBlock Origin extension, which Nano Ad Blocker is based, revealed that the new developers have rolled out updates that added malicious code. So whoever bought it from the original developers were cool. And so if you had it before, it was probably fine. Take it off your computer now. Get different virus and ad blockers, and run a thorough scan just to make sure, because they are infecting browsers, and they're looking for issuing likes for Instagram posts with no input from users. They're using AI to data mine people. So if you have these on your computer, take them off. Take them off. Don't leave them on. They're bad news. It's surveilling you, and they're mostly on Firefox and Microsoft Edge. Edge can also install extensions from the Chrome Web Store. Take it off right now. If you have it, don't use it. Ooh. If you ever played D&D, it's called metaing the game. People are being meta in every aspect of life now. Very true. I feel like people are very much being manipulated. And part of what I want to do in my life is to help people at least have an open mind to when you get things from the authorities to go, why are they telling me this? Is this just in their best interest, or is it also in my best interest? Or are they trying to manipulate me to have an outcome that they want? There is a lot of manipulation going on in our society, and by the hands of social media, that's the way it goes. So I think we all need to be at least a little bit more aware. Speaking of more aware, there is you remember, I think it was last week or the week before, we talked a little bit about the horrific crap that the U.S. Customs and Border Protection does. Yeah, they're being investigated and they won't share. Now they're being investigated for something else. CBP, the what do you call it? The Customs and Border Protection. Yeah, I just said it, right? CBP. They're refusing to tell Congress what legal authority the agency is following to use commercially bought location data to track Americans without a warrant. Now, if you have done something, they legally need to get a warrant to track you and to listen to your conversations, to follow you without your knowledge. So without a warrant, it's illegal. So they're using technology to do this without getting a warrant, and this is a government entity. So once again, the United States Customs and Border Protection is the most evil part of our country, and also happens to be the largest entity in the government with the most employees and pretty much the most money going into it, and it is unaccountable. So evil. It's our Gestapo. You need to be aware that they are doing evil shit. So the lack of disclosure around why CBP believes it does not need a warrant to use the data, as well as Department of Homeland Security not publishing a privacy impact assessment on the use of such location information, has spurred Wyden and Senators Elizabeth Warren, Sherrod Brown, Ed Markey, and Brian Schatz on Friday to ask the DHS office and the Inspector General, DHS OIG, to investigate CBP's warrantless domestic surveillance of phones and to determine if CBP is breaking the law or engaging in abusive practices. And Congress has asked them time and time again, is it illegal? I mean, it's your own. I do believe that everything on you should belong to you. Like your data, you have privacy. You should be able to have a conversation on the phone with somebody else without worrying that the government's listening in. And or having a chat, like a private chat with somebody that they're not constantly looking in. Is it naive to think so? Yes, because the technology is there now. And if you're using free services like Facebook, they're in bed with the government right now. I mean, they're listening. They are. It's just the way it is. But they're looking at it, and I think that that is a weird thing to say. Okay. They're not obtaining court orders to query the data. CBP says not restricting personnel to only using it near the border. So not only are they using it to look at illegals coming into the country and people who might be going back and forth near, to help ferry them across the border, they are starting to look at people all around the country. So there is no restrictions on this entity of the government. They are doing illegal things. We talked about how the fact that they have detained people and raped people, murdered people. There's been bodies found, and then nothing has happened to people who've worked in these areas. There is a lot of dirty shit going on with the CBP. Oh yeah. We just found out that the movies and content you download is still under the ownership of websites like Netflix, Amazon Prime, etc. Oh yeah. And here's the kicker is that they can change the rules on you at any time. It's a government. Something that was legal for years and years can all of a sudden become illegal just because of their whim, and if it can make them more money. So keep an eye on the CBP. I think it is there are so many things that they're doing that's evil. Every other week it seems like I find more and more crap about them. CBP paid a company called Ventel nearly $500,000 in August for Ventel's software in support of a mission of decision making by providing access to commercially available multi-source validated location marketing data using custom geolocation data research requests. In a statement at the time, CBP told Motherboard that consistent with its border security and law enforcement authorities, CBP had acquired limited access to commercial telemetry data through the procurement of a limited number of licenses to a vendor-provided interface. Wyden added that CBP said it also using the data for national security threats. They take and they take. So the DHS publishes privacy impact assessments that lay out particular type of surveillance technology, what it does, its benefits, its harms to privacy. On one such assessment for the deployment of nationwide vehicle tracking database, it also sourced from a commercial vendor, but CBP and the DHS has not published a privacy impact assessment to use Ventel location data, and it is unclear whether the office has performed such an assessment, even if it is not currently published. So they are working around the rules. They're not following the rules. They're not doing things by the book. And they're the government. The government invented the book. So why are they not following their own rules? Why is this one organization really getting out of control? The IRS also previously declined to elaborate on legal reasoning for using Ventel's data without a warrant. Inspector General now formally is investigating the IRS's use of the data. So the IRS is using it. The DHS, the CBP, all are using illegally non-warranted data. That should give you a little bit of fear for the night. So, ooh, spooky. Yeah, which is scarier? Ghosts, aliens, or the government? I should have a poll that pops up for that. I think I will later. I'm curious to see what y'all think, because right now I'm thinking the government sounds scary. Probes might be cool. Ghost could be neat. They might tell stories. It could be fun. Government right now not giving me much hope. So, and I see we're almost out of time, kids. It goes so fast. I hope you have a great Halloween. Have all the fun. It's a full moon. Watch out for werewolves. Be careful. Since it's a full moon, it's a very magical weekend. So if you have things that you have intention for, if you really want some sort of change in your life, if you really want, to communicate with the spirits, this is a great weekend to do it. Light some candles. Send your intention out into the universe. This is my woo thing. Good things are going to come your way. And I mean, all the people watching Liberty Librarian right now, I really appreciate you all. And I love to hear your stories. And every week I just have such a blast hanging out. So have a happy Halloween. Happy Halloween, Laura. I love you. And I hope you all have the greatest week. And I will see you next Thursday. And next Thursday will be November. And then we can start talking about, Thanksgiving coming up and all that. So have a great day. I love you guys. I'm going to turn Liberty Librarian. See you next week. Bye-bye.